guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about what flies hate. So if you're like me, you live on a homestead, you have animals, you have chickens, and these animals, they do what animals do and they poop wherever they want. And when that happens, you get flies. Just flies are part of the homesteading experience. Unless you're like one of these homesteads that have their animals sequestered out way out in the distance, way out in the back 40, and you never see your animals. You have to go out there and care and tend for them there. And you do that because you don't want to be around the flies. Most homesteads that I know are not like that. They have their animals close. And in this day and age, when things might be a little bit of a security concern, it's probably good to have your animals close by. In fact, there's been a number of instances, even in my county, but I've read about other instances as well in other places where livestock are just disappearing or just randomly being shot. Because we live in a day where the love of many is growing cold. It's sad to say, it just is. So, all that aside, if you're like me and you keep your animals close to the house so that you can monitor them, care for them, you're going to have flies. And flies are always wanting to get in the house. They smell the cooking of food and they try to get in. And so sometimes they're like hanging on the screens, and especially on the screen door. If you have a screen door, they're just hanging out there and you get flies in the house, and it's just, they congregate in the kitchen and then they go down into the drains and they lay their eggs in the drains, which is why, if you don't know, you're supposed to put bleach every so often down your drains. It's a great idea to do that sometimes before you go to bed at night when no one's using the faucets. You pour a little bit of bleach down your drain. And if there's any eggs or maggots down there hatching and whatever, they die. The bleach will kill them. Anyway, I found something recently that flies absolutely hate. So I was over at my friend Chris's house and over at Shalom Acres. You can find their channel on YouTube. And he was telling me how their turkeys started getting these buffalo flies. It was some kind of buffalo fly attack, and they were attacking biting their heads and necks and stuff like that. And they actually lost a couple of I think it was their chickens or their turkeys to these buffalo flies. Well, I'm like, I never heard of a buffalo fly, so I Google it. And to me, when you look up buffalo fly on Google, maybe your mileage will vary, but it just looks like a regular house fly. It's called a black fly. They're a little bit smaller than house flies, from what I understand. But the common house fly and the black fly are just a little bit different. But it's a fly, nonetheless. And the way they cured this problem was they hung vanilla air fresheners around the necks of their turkeys, and the buffalo flies, the black flies, hated this thing, and then they took off and their turkeys were fine. Vanilla air fresheners. Vanilla air fresheners. And so I'm like, well, if that worked for their turkeys and it drove the flies off, and buffalo flies really aren't that much different than regular normal house flies, maybe it'll work just for regular normal house flies. So I bought a pack of these things and I have hung them up. I only have 3 left because I've been using 3. I put 1 in the back door, 1 in the kitchen, and then 1 at the front door. And lo and behold, the flies don't hang around and congregate near the doors anymore. In fact, it makes the whole house smell like vanilla for a certain amount of time until it wears off. And it just permeates with this vanilla smell, and the flies don't hang around near the house so much anymore. They still do. You get the occasional fly in the house. I mean, it's not like I'm completely fly free, but it's a night and day difference. Also, I think the drought this year helped. I think when you take away water for an extended amount of time, the flies need water like everything else. It helps reduce their population. So I think that helped out as well. But I have noticed a definite decrease of the amount of flies that hang out by my front screen door, because in the evening when it gets cooler, they try to go places where it's a little bit warmer, and that's inside the house, and so they congregate on the screen. But I had one of these just hanging there. And when I do, the flies don't congregate on the screen, thus proving to me that this works. Chris over at Shalom Acres was onto something. And then I went ahead and I tried to find it before the video started, was a bottle of for a diffuser. I think there was a fly just flew right by my head in that video. Anyway, I don't have any in my office right now except for these in the pack. I don't have any. But I can kind of smell it. Do you see the fly? Maybe if I open this up right now, it'll stay away from me. But if you, I ordered some essential oil for my diffuser, some vanilla essential oil for my diffuser to diffuse. There we go. Boy, it makes the house smell great. I love the smell of vanilla. I mean, who doesn't love the smell of vanilla? And so I bought this little bottle of essential oil vanilla. It's the Now brand. I couldn't find it for the video. I don't know where one of the kids may have misplaced it or something. I don't know. For my diffuser, and I'm going to start diffusing that throughout the house because I have a couple of diffusers throughout the house, in the bedroom and in the bathroom. I can diffuse that. It makes the whole house smell like vanilla and even further drives the flies away. I need to hang one in here because obviously there's a fly who got in here somewhere. But I've seen it work. They're not hanging out on the screens anymore. And I've seen a noticeable reduction in flies. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. If you're like me and you live on a homestead, that could be your solution. Go ahead and give it a try. If you've already done this, leave a comment below and let me know how it works for you. If you've already discovered this, vanilla and flies. Do the flies hate the vanilla? So far on my homestead, it seems like they do. But leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Right now, we're going to go take a walk out on one of our pastures. There is a bee tree out there. Someone else on a previous video left a comment wanting to know if the problem with my garden this year was a lack of pollinators. Maybe that's the problem. But I have heard it through my sons who went out and checked for me that our bee tree is very active. We have an active bee population out on our property and living in a tree. And we'll go check that out and I'll show it to you and show you where our pollinators, our honeybee pollinators, the ones I know about, where they live on our property. Let's go take a look. So if you walk out here past our chicken coop, you will eventually come across a place in our wood line where if you go inside the wood line, you'll find a bee tree. And we found this a number of years ago. We're going this way, isn't it that way?
Well, here's the thing. If we go that way, we're going to have to cut through really tall grass.
We have to cut through a lot of tall grass?
Would you want it rather be a little bit not so much woods? Really tall grass with
So you're worried about ticks?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to cut this way.
It's going to be a little bit harder, but...
So we'll take you to our bee tree. Now, something I've learned over the years of homesteading from all of you guys are all of the folks who try their hand at beekeeping and who fail. Lots of you fail. And you tell me about it. And from what I've learned from the people who do succeed is that the best way to be a good beekeeper is to first apprentice yourself under someone who's been doing it for years. Historically, when people wanted honey, they had to go to the forest and find trees. I remember reading a story as a child in a storybook that, oh, did you find a dinosaur?
I found the dinosaur.
A dinosaur in the woods.
The dinosaur. Remember?
Obviously, one of the boys left it here one day, yeah. I used to use this in my creation versus evolution class. I see the tail's been chewed off by something. That's the Apatosaurus. Anyway, here. What was I at? Oh, I read a story years ago when I was a boy that American Indians, what they would do is they would locate honey trees by basically having a number of braves chase honeybees. They would chase it as far as they could, and then they'd wait for another one to fly by, and they'd chase that one as far as they could, and then eventually it would lead them to a honeybee tree. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I read when I was a boy. Honeybees are very hard to raise outside of in a controlled environment. So there are much easier ways for sugar production if that's what you want to do. Sorghum and sugarcane, sugar beets all come to mind, depending on what part of the world you live in. But we have a sugar tree or a honeybee tree on our homestead. I'm going to bring you over to it right now and show it to you. I'm sure our pollinators are hard at work this summer. Here, I'll show it to you in just a second. Okay, so here is the honeybee tree. Let me try to zoom in right there. I'm not going to get too close to it because I don't want to get stung. But this is our honeybee tree. It's been an active honeybee tree for how many years, you think? 5 or 6 years maybe. At least since we found it. And over the years, we've noticed that there's been some damage to this tree, probably caused by black bears. We have a lot of black bears in our area, and so part of the trunk, it splits and goes into 2 trunks. But part of these trunks have been attacked and ripped up. You can't see it so much right now, but in the past there was claw marks on these trunks from obviously bears trying to get into the tree because they can smell the honey. But for the most part, it looks like the bee tree has remained intact over the years. But there's our pollinators, and they look like they're alive and well. I wonder how long it's going to take before this tree rots away and they're going to have to find a new home. But there's our bee tree. If I wanted the honey, I could come out here during the wintertime, in the early winter when they haven't consumed so much of it. In the, maybe mid-fall area, when temperatures get down to where they won't move and attack so much. I'd come out here and take the honey if I wanted to, but I just assume let them live, and I don't need the honey that bad. I can grow my own sorghum and use that for sugar production and just let these guys pollinate the landscape. I'm sure there's other honeybee trees around here as well. So anyway, so there you go. There's our pollinators. There's our honeybee tree. Pollinators are in fact working. The fact that I do not have a very good garden year this year is not because of the pollinators. They are hard at work. I'm assuming they are hard at work. They look like they're hard at work. But anyway, it's just one of those years. Some years you have good years in the garden. Some years you have bad years in the garden. It just is what it is. And it's just been a kind of a little bit of a difficult year. But we're getting lots of rain right now. So hopefully that means we're going to get an okay fall garden this year. So, all right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. See ya. Bye. Hey, guys. I'm happy to introduce an American Homestead sponsor, Zervita Zeal. Now, first off, I only accept sponsors from products that I use and believe in. My family uses Zeal mainly because we want to ensure a healthy immune system. You see, it's made up of only whole food concentrates and includes no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. The included sweetener is all natural from fruit and the stevia leaf. It's gluten-free, it's vegan, and it's kosher. In 2018, my youngest son was involved in a bike accident that resulted in the surgical removal of his spleen, and that's an important part of his immune system. And because we live on a farm, you can guess that having a healthy immune system for our family is very important. Some of the included ingredients are beetroot, chicory root, turmeric, moringa, blueberries, cranberry, goji berry, milk thistle, ginseng, alfalfa, broccoli, and so much more. It's these natural ingredients that can easily be made into a powerful and tasty drink that my family can make and feel good about. So sign up and give it a try today. Every purchase you make goes to help the homestead so that we can continue to make great homesteading videos for you. Link is in the description below. Go ahead, give it a try. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.